The space station named Ethelgard floated quietly in the dark space between the stars. It was a neutral place, a ground where different species could meet to talk about peace. From the large windows of the station, one could see many ships floating in the distance. Among them were the ships of the Vexian Dominion and the ships of Earth. The human ships looked small compared to the massive alien vessels, but they were painted white and bright, standing out against the black void of space. Inside the station, the main meeting room was very quiet. The air was cold, and the lights were bright. Lieutenant Lisa stood behind a long table made of silver metal. She was a young woman with serious eyes and a neat uniform. In front of her sat Ambassador Kale. He was a Vexian. His skin was a pale blue color, and he was much taller than any human. He wore robes that looked like flowing water, shifting colors as he moved. Lisa did not trust him, but she had to be polite. She was there to help her leader, Admiral Vance, but the Admiral was not in the room yet. He was on the human flagship, watching from afar. Ambassador Kale tapped a long finger on the table. "You humans are very stubborn," Kale said in a low, smooth voice. "We offer you safety. We offer you a place in our great dominion. All you must do is sign the paper and stop building your dangerous weapons." Lisa looked at the paper on the table. It was a treaty. If they signed it, Earth would have to destroy most of its space fleet. They would have to rely on the Vexians for protection. "We do not want protection," Lisa said, her voice shaking slightly. "We want to be partners. We want to keep our ships to defend ourselves." Kale smiled. It was not a kind smile. His teeth were sharp and pointed. "You are like children playing with fire," Kale said. "You are not ready for the stars. You are weak. If you do not sign, you will be alone against the dark things in the galaxy." Just then, the large screen on the wall turned on. The face of Admiral Vance appeared. He was an older man with gray hair and a face that looked like it was made of stone. He sat in the captain's chair on the bridge of the human flagship, the Iron Will. Behind him, human crew members were working at their computers. "Ambassador," Vance said. His voice was calm and deep. "We are ready to sign. We want peace." Lisa was surprised. The Admiral had been against this treaty for weeks. He said the aliens could not be trusted. But now he looked willing to sign. She looked down at the table and picked up the pen. Her hand was steady. "Good," Kale said. He leaned forward. "Then the galaxy will finally be safe from your mistakes." Lisa put the pen to the paper. She began to write her name, Lisa. The tip of the pen scratched against the paper. The sound was loud in the quiet room. She finished the last letter and looked up. Kale laughed. It was a cold, dry sound. "It is done," Kale said. Suddenly, the lights in the room flashed red. A loud alarm began to ring. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Lisa looked at the screen where Admiral Vance was. The Admiral did not look scared. He looked at Kale with eyes that were completely empty of emotion. "You made a mistake," Vance said softly. "What?" Kale asked. He looked confused. Then, he looked out the window. Outside the station, the Vexian fleet began to move. Their massive ships, which had been sitting still, suddenly powered up their engines. They did not turn to leave. They turned their guns toward the small human ships. "Fire!" Kale commanded into his communication device. In space, the Vexian ships released a storm of laser fire. The beams of green light struck the human vessels. There was no defense. the human ships had their shields down, as a sign of trust for the peace talks. One by one, the white ships exploded into balls of fire. Debris floated in the silence of space. Thousands of human lives were lost in seconds. Lisa gasped. She watched the screen in horror. "Admiral!" she cried out. "We are under attack." But on the screen, Admiral Vance did not move. He did not shout orders to the remaining ships. He did not try to fight back. He just watched the destruction. "I know," Vance said. "I expected this." Cale turned back to the screen, his face full of hate. "You thought you could trick us, human. We know you hid your real fleet. We know you have secrets. But now, your small guard force is gone. Earth is open." Vance leaned back in his chair. "Cale," Vance said. "Do you really think I would send my best ships to die in a ceremony? Do you think I would trust a species that lies as easily as you breathe?" "You are alone," Cale shouted. "My fleet is moving to Earth now. Your planet will burn." "No," Vance said. "I am not alone. And Earth is not weak. It was sleeping." Suddenly, the screen went black. The connection was cut. In the meeting room, Lisa stood up. She felt angry, but she also felt a strange sense of calm. The Admiral knew. He knew they were going to betray humanity. He let them destroy the old ships on purpose. But why there were no other human ships nearby? The Vexians were the most powerful force in this sector. Without a fleet, Earth was doomed. "You are foolish," Cale said to Lisa. He walked toward the door. "Stay here and watch your end. My ship will destroy the station next." Cale left the room, leaving Lisa alone with the alarms ringing. She walked to the window. She looked out at the debris of the human ships. It looked like a graveyard. She felt tears in her eyes. Her friends were on those ships. Good people. They died because the Vexians were liars. Then, her communication device beeped. It was a private channel from Earth. A secret code appeared on the small screen on her wrist. It was a message from Vance. "The Damocles protocol is active. Do not fear. We are coming." Lisa looked at the text. She did not know what the Damocles protocol was. She had never heard of it in all her years in the military. But she trusted the Admiral. He had a plan. Outside, the Vexian fleet began to move away from the station. They were forming a long line, heading toward the blue planet that was Earth in the distance. They moved slowly, like a pack of wolves hunting a wounded animal. They thought the hunt was over. They thought the human race would surrender. But deep in the dark of the solar system, past the planets that humans knew so well, something was waking up. The betrayal was not the end of humanity. It was the key that opened the cage. And now, the beast was free. Lisa watched the alien ships go. She wiped her tears away. Her face became hard. She was a soldier of Earth. They had killed her people. They had broken the peace. Now, they would learn that humans do not just get mad. They get even. "Wait," she whispered to the empty room. "Just wait." The alarms continued to ring, but to Lisa, it sounded like a war drum. The real war was just starting. Far away from the bright stars where the battle had just taken place, there was a place of deep darkness. This was the Oort cloud, a ring of ice and rocks that surrounded the entire solar system. It was very far from Earth, so far that the sun looked just like another bright star. In this frozen darkness, large asteroids floated silently. But if one looked closely, The asteroids were not all natural. Some of them were hollow. Inside the largest rocks, there were hidden lights and warm air. This was the secret home of the real human fleet. Under the surface of a giant asteroid, General Mason sat in a chair made of cold metal. He was an old man, but his back was straight, and his eyes were sharp. He wore a black uniform with gold stripes on the shoulders. In front of him was a large screen. On the screen, he could see the Vexian fleet destroying the human diplomatic ships. He saw the explosions in the distance. He saw the death of his people. His face did not move. He did not cry. He did not shout. He only watched, like a statue. "They have done it," General Mason said. His voice was quiet, but it carried power in the small room. Next to him stood Dr. Emily. She was a younger woman with glasses and messy hair tied back in a bun. She wore a white coat over her clothes. She held a tablet computer in her hands. She looked at the general with fear and excitement. "Sir, the Vexians are moving toward Earth," Dr. Emily said. "They believe we are weak. They believe we have no defense." General Mason nodded slowly. "They believe what we wanted them to believe. The ships they destroyed were the old ones. We used them as bait. We let them think they won." Dr. Emily typed on her tablet. "The trap has worked, sir. Now we execute the Damocles Protocol." "Yes," Mason said. "Wake them up." Dr. Emily pressed a bright red button on the screen. Suddenly, the room began to shake. It was a deep rumble, like the sound of a sleeping giant waking up. Deep inside the asteroid, massive machines began to turn. Lights turned on all over the secret base. Huge metal doors that were covered in space dust began to open. For 50 years, humans had been building these ships in secret. They had used technology found on Mars, ancient technology that the aliens thought humanity was too stupid to understand. In the dark hangar bays, the new fleet waited. These ships did not look like the shiny white ships from the diplomatic fleet. These ships were black as night. They were angular and sharp, built for war, not for show. They were covered in thick armor that could withstand the heat of a star. One by one, the massive ships moved out of the asteroid caves. They did not move with simple rocket engines. They used gravity drives. These drives bent the space around the ships, allowing them to move silently and very fast. They floated out into the dark like ghosts. On the bridge of the largest ship, named the Vanguard, Captain Cole sat in his pilot seat. Cole was a man with a rough face and a small scar on his chin. He had been a pilot for a long time, but he had never flown a ship like this. The controls lit up in front of him, glowing with a soft blue light. He could feel the power of the ship humming under his feet. "This is Wraith Squadron reporting in," Cole said into his communication device. "All systems are green. We are ready to fly." "Wraith Squadron, you are clear for launch," a voice replied. It was General Mason. Cole looked out the window. In front of him, the black doors of the hangar were fully open. He could see the stars. He thought about the friends he had lost at the summit. He thought about the betrayal. The Vexians thought humans were soft. They thought humans would beg for mercy. Cole gripped the control stick tightly. "Let's show them what humans can do," Cole said. He pushed the throttle forward. The ship shot out of the asteroid like a bullet. Behind him, hundreds of other fighters followed. They joined the massive black capital ships in the void. The formation was perfect. It was a wall of death moving toward the inner solar system. Dr. Emily watched the fleet assemble on her screen. She felt a surge of pride. The Vexians had better shields and faster communication, but they had not seen this coming. Humans were very good at hiding things when they needed to. Humans were also very creative when they were angry. "The fleet is fully mobilized, General," Emily said. "Estimated time to intercept the Vexian forces is 1 hour." General Mason stood up. He walked to the window of the command center. Even from here, he could not see the fleet, but he could feel them. He knew that the balance of power in the galaxy was about to change forever. "The Vexians wanted a war," Mason said. "They wanted to crush us so we could never rise again. They made a mistake. They should have killed us all, because now, there is nowhere left for them to hide." He turned back to the screen. The Vexian fleet was still celebrating, still moving slowly toward Earth, thinking they were hunting a wounded animal. They did not know that the wounded animal was actually a predator. And the predator was now behind them. In the deep space, the Black Fleet moved silently. The engines made no sound, for there was no air in space to carry the noise. But in the silence of the cosmos, a message was being sent. It was a message of power. Humanity had been pushed down, kicked, and betrayed. But humans did not stay down. They stood up. They built stronger walls. They built sharper swords. Captain Cole flew at the front of the formation. He checked his weapons. His ship had plasma cannons that were 3 times stronger than the old human models. He also had a new weapon, a railgun that could shoot solid metal slugs at incredible speeds. "I see them on radar," Cole said. "The Vexian fleet. They are slowing down. They are probably getting ready to bomb Earth." "Hold formation," General Mason ordered. "Wait for my command." The deadly fleet waited in the shadows. They were like a storm cloud gathering on the horizon. The aliens had no idea that doom was rushing toward them at the speed of light. The betrayal had cost humanity many lives, but it had also cost the Vexians their chance to win. The trap was set. The cage was open. The beast was awake. The Vexian fleet moved slowly through the dark space near the planet Jupiter. From the bridge of his massive ship, the Dominator, Overlord Vex looked down at the blue and brown planet below. He felt proud. His ships were large and silver, shining with light. They were the strongest ships in the galaxy. He had just destroyed the human guard force without any trouble. He thought the humans were weak and scared. "Hold position above the planet," Vex ordered to his crew. "Prepare the broadcast. I want the human leaders to see their end before we fire." "Yes, Overlord," his second-in-command said. The alien crew moved quickly. They thought the war was over. They thought they had already won. But suddenly, an alarm rang on the bridge. It was a warning sound that meant something was approaching. A Vexian officer looked at the radar screen. He looked confused. "Overlord," the officer said. "I am reading many ships coming from behind us. They are coming from the deep space." Vex laughed. "It is impossible. We destroyed their fleet. There are no more ships." "I am reading them clearly," the officer said, his voice shaking. "There are hundreds of them. And, they are moving very fast." Far away, on the other side of the solar system, the human fleet arrived. They did not come from Earth. They appeared out of nowhere, using their special jump engines. One moment, the space was empty. The next moment, the sky was filled with the black, sharp shapes of the vanguard. On the bridge of the human flagship, the Iron Will, Admiral Vance stood still. The lights on his ship were dim, so he could see the screens better. Commander Ryan, Vance said. Report. Commander Ryan sat at the tactical desk. He typed on his keyboard. We have them, Admiral. The Vexian fleet is clustered near Jupiter. Their shields are pointed toward Earth. They are not looking at us. Good, Vance said. They were looking at a distraction. Now they will see the real threat. Captain Cole was in his fighter ship, floating near the big flagship. He looked at his radar. The red dots of the Vexian ships were close. Wraith Squadron, Cole said over the radio. This is it. Remember the summit. Remember our friends. Let's take them down. His squadron answered with a cheer. For Earth. On the Vexian ship, the Overlord was angry. Attack the new ships. Fire. The Vexian ships turned their big guns toward the Black Fleet. They fired green beams of energy. The beams shot across space and hit the human ships. But something strange happened. The black ships did not explode. They had blue shields around them. When the green beams hit the blue shields, the beams just disappeared. Our weapons are not working. The Vexian officer shouted. Their shields are adapting. Dr. Emily's technology was working. The shields were learning. They changed their frequency to stop the Vexian weapons. Admiral Vance watched the enemy fire bounce off his shields. He smiled a cold smile. Commander Ryan, is the fleet ready? Yes, sir. All guns are loaded. The railguns are charged, Ryan said. Then give them the order, Vance said. Destroy them. The human fleet did not fire green beams like the aliens. They used solid bullets made of heavy metal, shot at incredible speeds. The railguns on the human ships roared silently. The bullets tore through the empty space and smashed into the Vexian ships. The sound of impact was terrible, even through the vacuum. The metal hulls of the alien ships crumpled like paper. Huge explosions ripped through the Vexian lines. 3 large Vexian ships exploded instantly, turning into bright fireballs. Captain Cole flew his ship into the chaos. He was fast. His ship was small, but its guns were powerful. He saw a large Vexian carrier ship trying to turn around. I see a target, Cole said. Executing Raptor's Talon. He pushed his ship forward. He flew past the enemy ship, firing all his guns. His bullets hit the enemy engines. The carrier ship spun out of control and crashed into another Vexian ship. Both ships were destroyed in a massive flash of light. Overlord Vex watched in horror. His beautiful fleet was breaking apart. The black ships were everywhere. They were faster, stronger, and they fought without fear. The humans were not running away. They were hunting him. How, Vex whispered. How did they hide this power? On the screen of his ship, a message appeared. It was from Admiral Vance. You thought we were weak, the message read. You thought betrayal was easy. Today, you learn the price of underestimating humanity. Vex felt fear for the first time. He realized the mistake he had made. The humans had let the betrayal happen. They wanted the Vexians to attack, so they could fight back without any rules. The Vexians had woken up a sleeping dragon, and now the dragon was burning their home. The battle was not a fair fight anymore. It was a slaughter. The deadly human fleet moved with perfect coordination. They were not just soldiers, they were a machine of revenge. And they would not stop until the alien forces were nothing but dust. The black ships of the human fleet moved past the broken debris of the Vexian border stations. They did not stop to rest. They did not wait for orders to change. The fleet kept going, moving deeper into alien space. For the first time in human history, Earth was not the defender. Earth was the invader. The human ships were dark and silent, like a storm cloud rolling over a peaceful valley. On the surface of a Vexian colony world, the sun was setting. The planet was called Vex Prime. It was a beautiful place with tall buildings made of glass and strange blue trees. The Vexians who lived there were peaceful civilians. They had never seen a real war. They watched the sky in horror as hundreds of human dropships fell from the clouds like rain. Lieutenant Erin stood in the ramp of her dropship. The ramp was still closed, but she could hear the wind outside screaming. She wore a suit of heavy armor. It was painted dark gray and covered in scratches. In her hands, she held a large rifle. Around her, her squad waited. They were all quiet. They were focused. "Listen up," Erin said over the radio in her helmet. "These aliens betrayed us. They killed our friends. They think they are better than us. Today, we show them the truth. We do not stop. We do not take prisoners unless ordered." "Yes, ma'am," the squad replied together. The ship shook violently as it hit the ground. The ramp opened with a loud hiss. Smoke and dust swirled into the ship. Erin ran out first. Her boots made a heavy thud sound on the alien pavement. In front of them, a squad of Vexian soldiers was waiting. The aliens held their energy rifles up high. They fired beams of green light. The beams hit the ground around the humans, kicking up dirt. One beam hit Erin's chest plate. It glowed red for a second but then faded. Her armor was too strong. She did not even slow down. "Charge!" Erin shouted. The human soldiers sprinted forward. This was something the Vexians were not used to. In their history, enemies stayed far away and shot at each other. They did not run at each other with knives and fists. The sight of humans running toward them, screaming with anger, scared the aliens. The Vexian soldiers stepped back. Their aim got worse. Erin reached the first alien. She used the butt of her rifle to hit him in the face. The alien fell down instantly. She kept moving. Her team followed her. They fought with brutal efficiency. They used grenades and loud explosives. The noise was deafening. A few miles away, Major Davis sat inside the cockpit of a massive tank. It was called the Rhino. The tank was not sleek like the alien vehicles. It was a box of thick metal with huge tracks. It looked ugly, but it was very dangerous. Davis watched the street ahead on his screen. "Enemy armor approaching," the tank's computer said. A soft voice. Davis smiled. "I see them." 3 sleek Vexian hover tanks came around the corner of a blue building. They were fast and floated above the ground. They fired their plasma cannons at the Rhino. The plasma splashed against the Rhino's front armor, leaving black scorch marks. Davis did not move. He waited for his targeting system to lock on. A red box appeared on the screen around the lead alien tank. "Gotcha," Davis said. He pressed the button to fire. The Rhino's main gun made a loud boom sound. A shell the size of a human arm flew out of the barrel. It crossed the distance in a split second. It hit the lead hover tank and went right through it. The tank exploded in a bright green fireball. The explosion knocked the other 2 tanks over. Davis reloaded. "One down," he said. He fired again. And then again. In less than 10 seconds, all 3 alien tanks were burning wrecks. The Vexian soldiers on the ground were panicking. They were calling for help on their radios. They are too strong. We cannot stop them. Suddenly, the loudspeakers in the city square crackled. The aliens were broadcasting their own military music, trying to calm their people. But then, the music stopped. A strange voice took over. It was Sentry Unit 724, the human AI. "Do not run," the voice said. It sounded calm and cold. "We are not here to destroy your homes. We are here to take them. Your leaders lied to you. They told you we were weak. Now you see the truth." In the center of the city, a group of Vexian elders came out of a government building. One of them held up a white flag. They walked toward the human tanks, shaking with fear. "Stop!" the elder shouted. "We surrender. Please, stop the fighting. We can talk about peace. We can sign a new treaty." Major Davis opened the top hatch of his tank. He climbed out and stood on top of the metal beast. He looked down at the elder. The wind blew through his short hair. "Peace?" Davis asked. He laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. "You had a treaty. You broke it. You killed our people because you thought we were weak. Now you want to talk because you are losing." But we are civilians," the elder said. "We are not soldiers." Davis looked at the burning tanks. He looked at the ruined buildings. He remembered the videos of the human ships exploding at the summit. He remembered the thousands of humans who died in space because of a lie. "You should have thought of that before you started this war," Davis said. He climbed back down into his tank and closed the hatch. "Driver," he said. "Move forward. We have a schedule to keep." The Rhino's engine roared. The heavy metal tracks crushed the white flag on the ground. The tank rolled past the terrified elders. Behind the tanks, more human infantry marched. Lieutenant Aaron walked at the front of her unit. The aliens looked at the humans with fear. They saw the grim faces, the black armor, and the strange red glowing eyes on their helmets. They realized that humans were not just fighting to win. They were fighting to send a message. On every street corner, the human AI hacked the screens. It showed the symbol of Earth, a sword, and a shield. The aliens in the city locked their doors and hid in their basements. The mood of the invasion was clear. The humans did not care about alien rules or alien honor. They played by a new set of rules now. And the first rule was simple: do not betray humanity. The colony fell within hours. The resistance collapsed. The Vexian soldiers dropped their weapons and ran. They knew that the Iron Titans of Earth would not stop here. They would go to the next planet, and the next, until they reached the Vexian homeworld. The betrayal had cost them everything. Humans were usually kind, but when humans were angry, they were the most dangerous force in the universe. The Vexian homeworld was a beautiful blue and green marble floating in the darkness of space. It had looked this way for thousands of years. It was the center of a great empire, the heart of the Dominion. But today, the light of the planet's sun was blocked. A massive shadow had fallen over the world. It was not a cloud. It was the human fleet. Thousands of black ships, sharp and dangerous, formed a perfect wall around the planet. They were so close that from the ground, people could see the gray hulls and the engines glowing with blue light. The human fleet did not move. They just waited. It was a silence that was louder than any explosion. On the bridge of the Iron Will, Admiral Vance stood with his hands behind his back. The bridge was quiet, only the soft hum of computers could be heard. Everyone was at their station, waiting for the final order. Vance looked at the large screen in front of him. It showed the surface of the alien planet. He could see the large cities, the towers reaching for the sky, and the oceans that looked so peaceful. "Sir," Commander Ryan said softly. "The planetary shields are failing. They cannot withstand the jamming signal Dr. Emily sent." Vance nodded slowly. "Good. They are blind and deaf now." Outside, in the cold vacuum of space, Captain Cole sat in his cockpit. He was flying a patrol pattern around the largest Vexian city. He looked down at the alien world. He felt a strange mix of emotions. He was not happy to destroy a civilization, but he remembered the betrayal. He remembered the Vexians smiling while they blew up the human ships. "Wraith Leader," a voice said in his ear. It was Lieutenant Lisa. She had transferred to a communications ship for the final attack. "The Council is requesting to speak with Admiral Vance. They say they want to surrender." "About time," Cole said. "Tell them to hurry up. My fuel is running low, and my trigger finger is getting itchy." On the planet's surface, in a tall building that served as the capital, the Vexian Council was in panic. The room was large and round, with windows looking up at the sky. But the sky was black with human ships. The Vexians, who usually stood tall and proud, were now huddled together. They were afraid. Xylos, the leader of the council, walked to the communication console. His hands were shaking. He looked at the other members. They had no army left. Their fleets were dust. Their soldiers on the colonies had surrendered or fled. There was no one left to fight. "We must do it," Xylos said. "We have no choice." He pressed a button. The screen in front of him flickered and changed. Instead of the static, the face of Admiral Vance appeared. He looked calm. He looked like a judge who had already made his decision. "Overlord Xylos," Vance said. He did not use the title with respect. He just said the name. "Admiral Vance," Xylos began. His voice was weak. "Please. We surrender. We stop all fighting right now. We will give you whatever you want. We have resources. We have technology. Just please, turn your ships away. Do not destroy our world." Vance looked at him for a long moment. The silence stretched on. Xylos sweated under the gaze of the human. "We do not want your resources," Vance said finally. "And we do not need your technology. We have our own." "Then, what do you want?" Xylos asked. Vance leaned closer to the camera. "We want your obedience." Xylos blinked. I do not understand." "You betrayed us," Vance said, his voice hard as iron. "You thought you could destroy humanity and take our place. You made a mistake. Now, you are going to pay for that mistake. We are not here to take your money. We are here to take your throne." Vance paused to let the words sink in. "You will sign the unconditional surrender. You will dissolve your government. You will give control of the Vexian Dominion to the United Earth Defense Forces. Your planets, your fleets, your people, they all belong to Earth now." The council members gasped. It was slavery. It was the end of their freedom. "You cannot be serious," Xylos said. "The Galactic Coalition will not allow this. Other races will fight you." "Let them fight," Vance said, and a small smile appeared on his face. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a predator. "We just destroyed the most powerful fleet in the sector in a week. Who is going to stop us? You?" Xylos looked up at the sky again. He saw the thousands of black ships. He thought about the railguns that could tear through their shields like paper. He knew there was no hope. The aliens had spent centuries believing they were the masters of the galaxy. They had been arrogant. They had pushed the wrong species. We sign, Xylos whispered. Send the document, Vance said. A file appeared on Xylos' screen. He took a digital pen and signed his name. It was the end of the Vexian Dominion. Commander Ryan, Vance said, turning away from the screen. Send the signal to the fleet. Mission accomplished. We are the new rulers. Cheers erupted on the bridge of the Iron Will. The crew members clapped and hugged each other. Months of secret work, years of training, and the pain of betrayal had led to this moment. They had not just survived, they had conquered. Captain Cole watched from his cockpit. He saw the lights of the city change. The Vexian anti-aircraft guns went silent. The humans had won. It's over, Cole whispered. We actually did it? Admiral Vance walked to the window of his ship. He looked out at the stars. The galaxy was vast and quiet, but he knew the silence would not last. The news would travel to other worlds. They would hear how the Vexians betrayed humanity and crumbled. They would hear about the deadly fleet that came from the dark. Vance thought about the people on Earth. They were safe now. No one would dare attack them again. The betrayal had hurt, but it had also made humanity stronger than ever before. Humans were no longer the new kids in space. They were the kings. The black ship stayed in orbit around the blue planet. The flag of Earth was raised over the alien capital. The war was finished. The aliens had learned a hard lesson: never underestimate the human race. When pushed to the edge, humans do not break. They break you. And as Vance looked at the stars, he knew that this was just the beginning of a new era for humanity.